Every few decades, a scientist looks at a problem everyone else assumes is solved and asks a question no one thought to ask. In 1973, Nobel laureate Francis Crick, the co-discoverer of the double helix structure of DNA, published a paper that most of his colleagues preferred to ignore. The paper was titled Directed Panspermia, and it argued that life on Earth was almost certainly placed here, not evolved here, not born here, but placed now. Before you dismiss this as the ramblings of a fringe theorist, understand who Francis Crick was. He was one of the most rigorously analytical molecular biologists in history. He did not speculate lightly, and his reasoning was built on a deeply uncomfortable observation buried in our biochemistry. The observation that troubled Crick is the absolute universality of the genetic code. Every bacterium, every plant, every whale, and every human being runs on the exact same chemical operating system. The odds of this happening by random evolutionary convergence are effectively zero. If life evolved spontaneously in a primordial soup, we should see multiple different genetic systems today. Instead, we see one single, highly optimized code. This suggests all life on Earth shares a single point of origin. Crick argued that this starter kit was deliberately seeded from outside our world. The idea that life came from space is called panspermia, and it has a long, fascinating scientific history. Panspermia was proposed in the 5th century BC by the Greek philosopher Anaxagoras. In 1903, Swedish chemist Svante Arrhenius suggested that bacterial spores travel between star systems, propelled by light radiation. The hypothesis was largely ignored until a discovery in 1984 in the Allan Hills of Antarctica. Geologists found a Martian meteorite, ALH 8401, that had traveled from Mars to Earth. In 1996, NASA scientists announced they had found microfossils inside it. While that claim remains highly controversial, the meteorite proved that planetary material is actively exchanged between worlds. The question was no longer whether rocks travel, but whether life can survive the journey. The answer to that question came from the tardigrade, a microscopic invertebrate found in the most extreme environments on Earth. In 2007, the European Space Agency exposed tardigrades to the full vacuum and cosmic radiation of space for 10 days. When they returned, the tardigrades were still alive. They survived by entering a state of cryptobiosis, dehydrating their bodies and shutting down their metabolism. They shield their DNA using a unique protein called D-SU, which acts as a physical barrier against radiation damage. Scientists have since used this protein to reduce radiation damage in human cells by 68%. The tardigrade proved that biological packages can cross the cosmic void. This biological survival mechanism makes the timeline of early Earth highly suspicious. Our planet is roughly 4.5 billion years old. For its first few hundred million years, Earth was a molten, hostile wasteland constantly bombarded by asteroids. The planet only cooled enough to support liquid water around 4.0 billion years ago. Yet, the oldest fossilized microbial mats found in Western Australia date back to 3.5 billion years ago. This means life appeared almost instantly after the planet became habitable. The transition from simple chemicals to a self-replicating cell is staggeringly complex. Declaring that this massive jump occurred spontaneously in a brief geological window is highly problematic. Decades of laboratory experiments have failed to create a living cell from inorganic matter. We can synthesize amino acids and nucleotides, but we cannot spark life. The gap between chemical ingredients and a living cell remains an unsolved mystery. Francis Crick concluded that the statistical probability of abiogenesis occurring in such a short window on Earth was too low. The simpler explanation was that the initial biological package arrived here already fully assembled. This cosmic seeding model shifts the origin of life to an older, more stable region of the galaxy. But while panspermia explains microbes, it does not explain the biological anomalies of humans. Homo sapiens is a biological mismatch on Earth. If we evolved in perfect harmony with this planet, our bodies should not carry such severe engineering flaws. Consider the human spine. In other vertebrates, the spine is horizontal, acting like a suspension bridge to distribute weight. In humans, the spine is vertical, which is a structural nightmare. Approximately 80% of adults experience debilitating back pain. Our lumbar vertebrae compress constantly under Earth's gravity, leading to slipped discs and chronic inflammation. The standard explanation is that bipedalism is a recent evolutionary compromise. But a more provocative question is whether our body was designed for a world with much lower gravity. Our vulnerability to Earth's environment extends beyond our skeletal structure. Unlike wild animals, humans are highly sensitive to sunlight. We burn easily, and prolonged exposure leads to skin cancer and cataracts. Our ancestors lost their thick body hair, yet we did not evolve adequate skin protection to compensate. We must wear artificial clothing and apply chemical blocks to survive the star we orbit. Furthermore, human childbirth is uniquely dangerous and painful compared to other mammals. This is due to the obstetrical dilemma, the conflict between our narrow pelvises for upright walking and the massive size of our infants' skulls. It is a biological bottleneck that makes natural birth highly risky. This lack of environmental fit extends to our sensory organs. The human eye is wired completely backwards. Our light-detecting photoreceptors point toward the back of the retina, away from incoming light. The blood vessels and nerve fibers are layered in front of the detectors, creating a blind spot and scattering light. By contrast, the octopus eye is wired forwards, with nerves running behind the photoreceptors, achieving optimal vision. Biologists explain this as a historical accident of vertebrate development, but it highlights how human biology is a series of clumsy retrofits rather than a clean design optimized for Earth's specific conditions. If humans are a cosmic anomaly, where is the evidence of our origin? This question brings us to the Fermi Paradox. In 1950, physicist Enrico Fermi asked, "Where is everybody?" Given the age of the universe and the billions of habitable planets, intelligent civilizations should have colonized the galaxy by now. Yet, our radio telescopes have detected nothing but silence. In 1961, Frank Drake created his famous equation to calculate the number of active civilizations. Math suggests the sky should be crowded. The absolute silence has led to the concept of cosmic loneliness. We are actively searching for creators who may have disappeared eons ago. The search for extraterrestrial intelligence is built on the assumption that we are the observers. But what if we are the result of the experiment? If life was seeded on Earth, the creators may have left long ago or extincted themselves in the vastness of time. The silence we detect is not because the universe is empty, but because the seeding event occurred billions of years ago. The genetic code we carry is the message itself. It is a durable, self-replicating data storage system that has survived for 3.5 billion years. We are looking for radio signals in the sky, while ignoring the biological record in our own cells. Let us analyze what is scientifically verifiable. Directed panspermia remains a speculative hypothesis. However, the discovery of organic compounds in space is solid science. In 2023, the OSIRIS-REx mission returned samples from the asteroid Bennu, confirming the presence of amino acids and water-bearing minerals. We know the building blocks of life are manufactured in deep space. Furthermore, the XPOSE experiments on the International Space Station proved that bacterial spores can survive the vacuum and intense radiation of space for years. For us, interplanetary transfer is not a science fiction scenario. It is a mechanical reality that occurs whenever an asteroid impacts a habitable planet. If microbes can migrate between planets, then the tree of life is a cosmic network, not an isolated terrestrial event. Earth did not develop in a biological vacuum. The material ejected from Mars billions of years ago could have easily seeded our young oceans. This makes the question of our origin far more complex. We are genetically linked to the oldest bacteria on Earth, but we are also the only species that builds machines to escape the planet's gravity. We are the only organisms that suffer from chronic existential dread about our place in the cosmos. We are a part of nature, yet we behave like transient observers. Our psychological detachment from Earth is a unique evolutionary trait. Animals exist in direct loop with their environments, acting on immediate survival inputs. Humans live in abstract mental models of the past and future. We spend our lives imagining alternative realities and dreaming of escaping our physical constraints. This cognitive architecture has allowed us to build civilizations, but it has also disconnected us from our biological niche. We are the only creatures who build artificial habitats to isolate ourselves from the natural world. We live on Earth, but we build cities to escape it. The possibility that we are the aliens is a mind-bending perspective shift. It does not replace evolutionary science. It expands it to a cosmic scale. We may be the descendants of a microbial package that drifted across the void, carrying a genetic code that was engineered elsewhere. Or we may be the result of a deliberate seeding program that has since been forgotten. The universe is ancient, and Earth is a relatively recent arrival. As we prepare to return to Mars and send probes to distant moons, we are not exploring foreign territory. We may simply be returning to the environment that created us. If this question unsettles you in a way you cannot quite explain, subscribe to Behavior Loop. Leave your answer in the comments. Do you think we were seeded, or did we emerge?